Hey, what's going on? Well, it looks like it's another installment today, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on this bumper. Now I've gone ahead and I've cut the bottom out pretty good already, and as you can see, the Subi's got center exhaust. It was not an easy feat, an easy task to achieve, and because of that I was able to actually, you can see by the sway bar, I got plenty of clearance all the way around, and it's the same level as that rear diff in the back there, so we don't have to worry about any clearance issues, you know. So, but anyways, as you can see, there are other lines here on this bumper, and they say cut. And they tell me to cut here as well. Well, there's a reason for that. I am ready to make my own bumper. Now we're going to do a little bit of a plate delete. Obviously, the muffler is living in the prime location of where that was. So we're going to go ahead and move that so that this is still a legal car. And again, that's why I utilized that big muffler there. Now, it's a pretty decent sized muffler, and because of it being so big, it was not easy to put there in the fitment that I needed it to be without having these tips stick out an excessive amount, kind of like a trailer hitch, which is, you know, we're not trying to trip over stuff and look a little gaudy and whatnot. So with that said, let's do this. Alright, so this car was actually painted by a previous guy. He went through it. There was the main reason why I've hogged all of this Bondo off of here and whatnot. I really wanted to see what was there. And it looks like he ended up just filling a lot of the mud here just to match up with the bumper. Reason so is obviously you can see right here, there's a big crack here, and he did a really poor repair on the backside, which caused it to end up splitting under the stress that I've been putting it through, you know, taking it off and on so I can get the fitment. So, you know, again, guys, you should be able to take your bumper off without it having to do this. So it was a really poor repair. So we're going to have to go ahead and grind that out and do a bumper repair. So you'll get to see the process of how to actually repair the bumper back to a plastic state and make it fit correct. As you can see, there's quite the gap here. That's as high as I can get it, only for the sheer fact you can see right here it is hitting. You know, you can't push it into the metal, so it is already hitting, causing this gap here. So what I'm going to have to do is either do some kind of heat manipulation here to shape it around this steel here to get this to correct fit, or actually grind that out and actually repair it and put it back on and get it to the right contoured shape so that we can have the proper gap that it's supposed to have nice and tight. You know, so that looks a lot better than the other side. And you can see here, you know, there's a lot of blistering and whatnot, so they did fill a lot of mud in here, which again, I'm going to have to grind out just to see exactly how well this bumper fits. And that's another thing, you're going to want this bumper to fit as best as possible, and knowing that I'm going to have to grind off all of that mud, then I'm going to have to see exactly where the steel really does lie. Now, because of that, it is what it is, you know, until I get that mud ground off the side. But for now, we're going to go ahead and jump into some modifications of the bumper. And you're probably wondering, how am I going to actually be able to delete it? Well, what I'd like to do is, you can see this face here on the inside that actually sinks in. Now, this beveled edge here will no longer exist. What we're going to do is we're going to make this section here all the way solid while still leaving a shelf underneath on this desired line. So what I've done here is basically, because if I go on this desired line, I'm able to use polyurethane all the way across. Now up here on the inside is already that desired shelf. Now it does have a pre-cut out slot on top, so that's where the lights went for the license plate, but obviously we're deleting that, we're getting rid of that. So because of that, I'm going to have to seal all that back up, but it's a lot easier when the pocket here is already predetermined and pre-made. So it makes my job a lot easier to be able to just lower that down to the desired height and mold it in. So in order to do so, we're going to use some plastic repair adhesive, and it's basically like liquid plastic until it hardens. So it's going to be a two-part epoxy. It's a lot easy to use. Basically, in this aspect, we can just grind it down, put it in the desired spot that we want it to, and just glue it, and it'll harden. And then I can actually sand it out, and it basically just molds right into the plastic. It's basically the easiest process to do this way. Now, there are plastic welders out there. There are irons. There's fillers and whatnot. Filler rods made of just plastic that you actually push feed through. That is a very, very long time consuming process, and because of that, it just doesn't make sense to me to spend that much time on something that I literally can just glue together, put some tape and hold it, and I walk away and go do something else instead of spending all that allotted time on doing some kind of plastic repair with an iron or a gun. So I come from a production field, the automotive field, or excuse me, the auto body field, the collision field, and you do things to make money. You don't spend all day on one little thing, because majority of the time it's an insurance job, and those guys, they don't pay. Alright, so what I've done here is I put a little bit of structure in here because I want to be able to cut out that entire section in the center. By doing so, it's going to take a lot of rigidity out of there, and it's mainly going to leave just this strap of plastic there. Now, I want to leave that as flat as possible so that I can actually come down and do a repair, and it doesn't look so wonky when it's back together and actually dry and cured. So what I've done is I've already started cutting around here, and my tool of choice today is my little air pneumatic mini saw. Now, I like these because I can get in the little areas, and that guy down there is just not really going to help you for that. And also, the cutoff wheel will heat it up so much and sling it all over the place that you'll end up getting second to third degree burns from it hitting your bare skin. Trust me, I know from experience. Anyways, long story short, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next cut over here and get that done. You can already see I've gone along the body line. We're going to cut out that flat portion here, and believe it or not, we're actually going to use that. Now, we can fill these little coin sections in here and make all of these nice and solid. We'll go ahead and take that threaded bung out of there, and we will make this a nice solid flat piece of plastic, which we will then use later for the base section to be the filler. So you'll see how it turns out. For now, let's just cut this out. Okay, so I removed that brace, I cut everything out, and I want to give you guys just a real good idea of why I actually braced this. There's nothing there for rigidity. So because of this, that's why I brace it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting for now, and then we're going to go ahead and put some braces in here. We'll brace everything up so that you can get the idea of the placement of what we're going to be going with. Okay, so cut out a couple more pieces here now. 1, 2, a little bit more dramatic, and I've gone ahead and started slicing all the way up in and all the way across this top shelf. I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. The sections that I've cut in the placement that they came out, there they are. So we're going to go ahead and utilize that all later. You know, it's already hard plastic, so we can basically mold that and use that anywhere we'd like, and grind it and heat it up, shape it, you know, whatever way we'd like. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But for now, I got to get this cut out. We'll get it all laid out so we can get a general idea of how much material we have, and then see if we need to go chop up another bumper to pull some other polyurethane from it and use it for some filler. I'm sure now you're getting the general idea that you can basically chop up another bumper and actually use it in your bumper. Now, we're just trying to get a flat section there. That's really all we're trying to do. So what's really easy to do is to cut that entire flat section out of another bumper. It's really simple that way. So because of that, it's a nice little tip and trick, and then you just glue it in place. You grind it right out. The plastic repair is done correctly, and you don't have to worry about it ever popping down the road because you made it a solid plastic part. Alright, so I went ahead, cut that out, lowered it down to the desired area, and you can see the form and contour that we're going to go ahead and go with. Now once I mold all this in, we'll have that nice gradual contour all the way across. I can easily fill in this section here with a nice rectangular flat section of polyurethane. And the same thing here. We'll then go ahead here and we'll mold straight in. I will grind this edge here as well as here and then adhere it with some 2-part, and then we'll be able to get on the back side here, trace this with some marker, because you'll see that it does have some overhang. So we will come across here and trim this out, because we don't need that shelving. We just need it to actually gradually come up and swoop into this so that it looks as OEM as possible. I want this to, well, I guess I can't say OEM because we're really far from OEM right now, obviously, because there's no license plate going to be there. So I guess with that said, we'll make it as factory looking as possible. Alright, so what I've done here is, in order to find out and achieve this actual level surface behind, I guess in this aspect I'm going to use a level, but it's not really the case or what I was trying to go with. But anyways, I'm looking to use it for just the actual straight edge portion. Now I've placed it on here, and we're going to go ahead and jump underneath this bumper and get a backside idea of what I'm really trying to achieve right now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop underneath here. And I'll turn on my light real quick, that way we can get a good general idea. Hold on, bear with me. Alright, so now it is sitting here, and we know that with this straight edge, I can then come across here with a paint marker and get my line. So I know exactly where to cut and what along to achieve that surface that I want. So that is the reason for setting the straight edge on here. So I'll go ahead and mark this. We know that that is level with the actual face of the bumper itself. That's kind of hard to see, so we'll go ahead and get some more paint on there. There we go, a little bit better. Probably need to change out my paint marker, but we'll get the general idea. Oh my goodness, the paint marker sucks. There it goes. Finally work. Okay, so we've got the general idea of where this actually meets with this face here, which we want it to have. We know that this has already got the contour that we want swooping down in, so we're going to go ahead and cut along that face. Cut along that face. I really want to. There we go. I'm more happier with that. And then we'll run with it from there. Alright, so on the other side, we'll take this off, and you can now see where it is flush. So this I like, it is nice. Same thing with the other side. We can see that it's nice and flush with the face, and we can go ahead and start trimming. Now before we can do so, I'm going to come over here on this face here, and I'm going to go ahead and use some paint marker there so that we know exactly where to cut. Same thing on the other outer edge here, which we did not get yet, so we'll go ahead and do that. Really not trying to miss any steps here. Oh, this is going to be difficult. I see how you want to be. Alright, so we'll call that, and then I'll come over here. Repeat the same action. Oh boy. Come on, paint marker. There we go. Splooging all over the place. Yeah. Alright. Alright, so let's skip ahead just a little bit. I've gone ahead and trimmed out these little pockets here. You can see with the actual radius itself. And I got some tape here just kind of holding it. You can get the idea after I've trimmed everything up how well we're going to get this contour. So again, we're just going to have an actual filler piece. You can see, there is no rigidity in this. So once I actually get this up to where it is supposed to be, again, bear with me, this is only tape holding this. But again, once I do put some rigidity back in this, it'll actually contour back to where I want it to be. But with me holding this here, you can get the general idea. I'm sure if you have an imagination station, you can figure out what this is going to look like. You know, I'm trying to make it as clean as possible. You know, a nice little shelf here and a nice little transition with the dual tips sitting here. It should look pretty nice, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing what I gotta do to shape and get everything to the desired size that I want. That way I can just place it all where I need it, grind it all out, and actually do the plastic repair. So what I've decided to do is, rather than actually use or utilize any of these pieces here, it's a lot better than having the puzzle piece method, which, you know, obviously can be used because it is just plastic. You can, you know, melt it into each other and you can actually glue it together and do the same process. But I think what I'm going to do is, I've got a few scrap bumpers. You can see this is a beautiful real estate right here. You know, obviously if I had another bumper, I'd be able to take this section here with very little work and move it over to here with a nice transition. So that is literally what I'm going to do, because smarter, not harder. Duh. So yeah, with that said, I'm gonna get me a bumper. I'm gonna cut the shit out of it, and we're gonna transition it over to there. I like to make things easy. You know, you can go to Scrapyard. You can get yourself a bumper for probably 20 bucks. They're really cheap. It doesn't even matter if it's a freaking Honda Civic or a Toyota Prius. Polyurethane is polyurethane. It is what it is. So if you need it, you can use it. And what's also great about it is you can heat it up and shape it to the shape that you're looking for. Let it cool and it'll stay there. That's what's great about it. So if you have like a little bit of wonkiness in your repair and whatnot, a little bit of heat goes a long way. All right, well, it looks like it's the next day, and I've already gone ahead, grabbed me a bumper out back out of the junk pile, and it just so happens to be another silver WRX bumper. I'm gonna rob some pieces off of it, so we'll go ahead and put in a little quick slideshow real quick, show you where I'm at right now, because I'm getting ready to start making a form here so I can start making the major repair. Got a lot of stuff already cut out already, but I don't want to give too much away, so let's do this.
Watch the way I navigate, watch the way I don't stop, get it, till you get it, hands Everybody looking at me, 'cause I'm doing it right. Everybody looking at me, 'cause I'm doing it
you can see, I've already got everything braced up. Some 2x4s, they go a long way. Got a little piece cut out, we'll be able to put in here, and then we'll be able to make this shelf, and then once we're able to make all of this here, then we can actually just start making the face, and it'll be a lot easier. So in order to make that face, we're going to have to put the structure in there. In order to put the structure in there, we got to start doing some grinding now and start doing some actual repair. So in order to do that, you know, some tools that you're going to need is this air saw. I tend to only like to use these air saws. You don't have to use an air saw. You can actually use just a normal plug in the wall, you know, skill saw and whatnot, and it'll be perfectly fine, you know, or excuse me, a jigsaw, and that'll be fine, you know, because that's just all they are. It's just mini jigsaw blades. And then a little grinding disc. You know, you're going to need a little grinder. Again, you can get away with an electric grinder, but you're going to need this so that you can basically trim all the edges and get this all to the contoured shape that you're going to desire. Now, I've got these taped in place. Let me untape this. So, as you can see, it's very jagged. You know, it's not going to just fit in like a puzzle piece. We're going to have to grind this down to shape. Now, all the edges here, we're going to have to put them at a V. Now, we're going to V all the edges so that we can adhere them into the other edge, the other mating here, all this mating surface. So, we're going to have to grind all this down. We're going to prep it, get it ready so that we can start using the two-part adhesion. And then we'll go ahead and glue this in place. We'll get it ready so that we can run our shelf all the way across. Fell down here on the ground, you know, and then this will be all nice and solid. Then I'll be able to go in there and sand all of it out once it all cures and whatnot. But you're starting to get the general idea of where we're going with this, or excuse me, where I'm going with this, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make the plate. I've gone ahead and cut out everything as you saw on the slideshow. Here are my plates. I've got plenty of overhang, which I gave myself so that I can do this little bit of curvature here. You know, it's going to have that little bit of a tooth that's going to come down. So I'll be able to put the plate on and then actually score it right along the line. But in order to get a perfect line, I'm going to put some structure in here. We'll get this shelf done, and then I can actually flip this bumper over, and then I can put this plate up. I can score it from the back side, and I know exactly where to cut it. You know, and same thing with the other side. We're going to do this in half pieces. You know, we'll have one here, and then we'll have the other here. You can kind of see the little half moon that will be put in there. Bada bang, bada boom type deal. So you get the idea. We'll make all that solid, and yeah, if it was like, damn it, how the hell do those YouTubers do that? I think we're going to save those snap results for the next upload. There's still a lot of work to be done, but you've got the general idea of where I'm going with this. Got to make some forms, got to do some grinding, but in order to do that, I got to do some more uploading. So I don't want to get too far with this video because it just makes more editing for me. It makes a lot of work. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this part one. I don't like doing parts anymore. I kind of just like putting them all in one big video, but honestly, I think it's going to have to be like that. I want to be able to start the next video with just straight repair. That way we can go right into the grinding portion of this. I've already got all the plastic material and all the ABS, you know, the polyurethane material that we need that actually came from another Subaru bumper. So it's not like I'm putting a Chevy bumper in this, you know, and the Subaru bumper. I'm probably as much as a purist as it gets, you know, when it comes to doing that stuff. You know, Subaru is Subaru. But with that said, guys, you know, I'm even a stickler when it comes to the actual plastic that goes on there. So, yeah. Okay, so I've gone around with the grinding disc, and I've prepped the area now so that we can actually do the plastic repair that we are trying to do. I've went in and I've actually grind down all of the plastic edges as well. I haven't done this backside yet, but to get the idea of what you're going to need to do, you're going to have to grind all of the backside down also as well, so that the backside can be repaired. First we're going to start with the front face here, and we're going to work with these edges. We're going to put these pockets in here, and I've already grinded everything to shape. That way it already just sits in place, you know, as well as the other side. this is something that I didn't show. You're going to have to do this in order to get everything to adhere in the basically the form and shape that you're looking for. So because this is the desired shape that I want, I went ahead and ground the pieces down to the shape and form that I want. You can see that they are virtually the same height as, I mean, it's kind of wonky and whatnot, but I can work with all that after anyways. I can sand, you know, a lot of these high portions here off, especially like this high portion and this high portion here. That can all be blocked, sanded down nice and flat, but for now we're going to go ahead and secure it down to the actual polyurethane itself, and we'll see if we can make this one solid piece. Now, what I normally use in this case is some 15-minute. I like this because you can actually use it for the actual plastic adhesion and whatnot. Now, this is really good because it actually sets up really quick, and especially on summer days like today, you know, it being already hot, it's a lot easier to jump into that and get it done quick, and I can actually move this bumper and start working on a different area and get that, you know, repaired also as well, and not have to have so much wait time on having it to cure. What I've noticed also, I've got some of these left over. You can get these actually at Walmart. These are pretty relatively cheap. It's a bumper repair kit. It's basically the same glorified thing here as a two-part adhesion. You're not going to get as much. You can see it's very, very skinny cylinders, but I believe this is only like $3 or $4 or something like that. I haven't bought these in a while. You can kind of tell it's really dusty, but this is what I have from some old stock from an old video that I did on some bumper repairs, just, you know, to get them done cheap and whatnot. It's basically the same stuff. It's just not as high quality grade as something as this Norton would be. So I tend to use that a lot better, especially because it's got a better warranty also as well. I can say that I did a professional repair versus going to Walmart to get the materials, but you absolutely can do so with that two-part. It will work for you. So for now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mix up some two-part adhesion, and we're going to go ahead and start placing those in place. It's basically just a real simple set and glue. We want to make sure that everything is braced and placed. Now, when I say braced and placed, that's what I'm talking about with that little, you know, it's extremely crude. You can see it's crude. It's a bunch of 2x4s screwed to each other. It's crude, I get it, but it's only there to have the flat surfaces, and that's really all we're trying to achieve right now, so that we know that this isn't going to be wonky. So if I put one piece on, it's not sitting this way and the other one's sitting this way, so then when I go to put the middle piece in, I'm not having to do a whole bunch of manipulation to get it straight because it's already in a brace. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw that underneath there. We'll get this all braced up, and we're going to start gluing some stuff down. Alright, I've got it on the form, and as you can see, I've got it secured. I've actually put in a drywall screw here, one here. It's actually all screwed right down to the actual wood itself. That way it doesn't move. We don't have to worry about that. And I actually started doing the plastic repair. This is actually already starting to set up. It's pretty cured. It's a little bit sticky right now, but you know, you get the general idea. You can make plastic. They do make two-part adhesion products for just as so. So you can see the radius here that we're going to be going with, and then I can go ahead and I can sand this after, and I can body work all this, and this is all ready to go. But it's not done. This is not finished. Just because this is glued and contoured and whatnot doesn't mean that this repair is actually finished. We're going to have to go on the back side, and we're going to have to structurize the back side. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do that later on after I get this all solid, and then we're able to flip this over and then brace it from the other side so that we can then do the structurized repair from the back side, and that's what's going to make this right. You know, that's what will make it to where if this gets in an accident, we don't have to worry about it breaking or popping at any of the seams. Okay, so it's pretty simple. It's basically the two-part epoxy that's going to do the job for you. Makes it pretty easy. I try to explain as much as I can so that you can get the general idea. And if I'm missing anything, you guys want to ask any questions, you know, feel free. Put it in the comments. Alright, so I pulled the actual backer I had here. You know, I was using it basically as a mold or a template, something I could build off of. Pulled that off. And now this is what we have left, or this is what we've achieved, I should say. Nice hard polyurethane, and as you can see, it has the nice and flex to it, nice and rigidity. And now we're just going to go ahead and work this face here, get this going.